Hello folks, what's up? So Lumix has just put out an announcement for the Lumix S5 Mark II and the Mark IIX, and today we are going to talk about it in this beautiful sunny day that I'm enjoying here outside my play yard of my building. And here I have put together all the information I could find because I'm not part of the Lumix creator gang, or however you want to call them. So of course I don't have the preview of this firmware update, but I know there are so many of them who are saying some things that they're a little bit like going against each other. So I took all the information, put them in one, and now I'm going to just share them and share some things that I didn't really understand either. So from here, we will have a talk. Comment down below and let me know what you think, and let's go straight into it. I'm going to read so it's more clear. The first update is an AF update, same as the G9 Mark II. So we're going to have a new AF update after the 30th of January. So 2 months after, we have another update, and the AF are going to get basically the same things that the G9 Mark II had. So we're gonna get the motorcycle and the car detection, plus the animal, eye, and body detection, which is amazing. I'm still a little bit sad that we didn't get the eye detection for the human, so basically the square that the animal had, but hey, it still works pretty good, as you can see now, so it's not a bummer. It's okay, but we are still not gonna get a firmware update for the HD mode, basically the slow motion, the 50 and the 60 frames per second. The AF, the new hybrid AF is still not gonna work there, so yeah, keep that in mind. The next one is gonna be basically the high E or electronic stabilization mode. We are gonna get this feature finally in the S5 Mark II and the S5 Mark IIX. And it's amazing because now that brings even more stabilization feature in already an amazing stabilization that this camera has. It's just going to crop a little bit more in and give you basically a micro four thirds look-alike stabilization. Of course, you're not going to reach micro four third stabilization, but you are basically there with a full frame body, making this camera even better and greater than many of the other stabilization cameras out there. So that's really cool. And on top of that, basically we are going to get this thing called perspective distortion correction, which is basically to correct with wide lens the wobbling that you will get in the cameras, which Canon with the R6 and the R5 still didn't correct. So amazing, Lumix, you are doing an amazing job with that. And as soon as I get the firmware update, I will get to test all of this. So subscribe to get the notification so we can actually together watch all of this. And for here, it's amazing. So we are gonna get Proxies capabilities in the camera. What I mean, if you are with the X version of the Lumix S5 Mark II, you can basically record with the SSD or with the memory card internally and have a backup recording in Proxies in the slot 2. And that's amazing. With the S5 Mark II, you will still have that feature, but it's going to be only, of course, in the SD. So the SD1, you're going to record your main normal video. And the SD2, you're going to record the Proxies. And that's amazing. Amazing, because this camera looks almost basically like a cinema camera to do that. And this next feature even step this thing even higher. You have the capability of CTC, which is camera to cloud capabilities. So thanks to this new firmware update, you can basically be recording with this camera and at the same time sending the proxies that you're recording in the slot 2 straight to Frame IAO to whatever you want to do. Like, you can have an editor already working on it, and then later when they get the main footage, they will just attach them, or just as a backup. And it's amazing because it works even in photography. So you can be already being at an event, for example, and have your JPEG or your RAW being already be sent to the frame IAO, and your editor can be already editing and then sending it to wherever, whoever wants them. And in video is even greater, because in that way you can basically just be sending it to someone and already creating reels for you, because it's limited to only Proxies, so obviously it's limited to only HD. And there are some things that I didn't really understand, because some people say that you can basically the frame IO will work only if you're recording in 4K and see 4K up to 60 frames per second. And some people say that you can record up to 6K. So it's a little bit confusing there. I didn't really understand either, so I'll wait for the firmware update to just confirm on that. But it's a little bit tricky because some people don't specify, some people specify, but they don't really confirm, and then other people specify, but they specify only in 4K. So it's a little bit confusing there. So I can wait for on the 22nd of April to get this firmware update, so I can confirm which firmware update this Proxies will work with. And then from there, we have a new feature for photographers, which is the pre-bust mode. What I mean, if you are basically shooting in 30 frames per second electronically, as this camera does, you can have a pre-burst mode where up to 1.5 second before you actually press the shutter button, you will basically start already be taking the pictures. What I mean, you press the shutter button, and the shutter button will basically already pre-record from 1.5 seconds before you actually pressed it. So that's amazing, so that you will never miss anything. Like, you have a bird that is about to take off, you put your eye there, you have already lost time by putting your eye and framing correctly, but you press the shutter button, and that time that you wasted is never going to be wasted. You understand what I mean? Why this feature is so good. So this firmware update, as I said earlier, is going to be released on the 22nd of April, and the time most probably in the night here where I am, and in the day in other parts of the world. So on the 22nd, I'm going to receive this firmware update, as everyone else will, and then I will share how this update works. But this is amazing because Sony took 4 years to update their cameras with features that this camera already has, and this camera even have more. And Canon don't have many of this feature, and other companies don't have many of this feature that this camera has. So I'm so happy that this camera keeps innovating and getting more and more love, and this is why Lumix is amazing. Consider subscribing, because I will release so much more and talk more about this firmware update and other things related to Lumix and L-mount and cameras in general. Thank you for sticking here with me and hearing me blabbering. I'm gonna talk to you soon. Hope you're taking good care of yourself. Bon voyage.